Hello and welcome to Vector Tuts Plus. My name is Martin Perhiniak, and today I'm going to talk about the new linking features in InDesign CS6. Some of the features I'm going to mention today were already introduced in CS 5.5, but they have been improved in CS6. The main feature which I'm going to talk about is the place and link option from the edit menu. But because in CS6 we have the content conveyor tool as well, this one, here we also have an option called create link. Now these two options are going to do exactly the same thing. But first of all, let me just show you how it works. So if we select a frame, we can go to edit, place and link option, and then already the content conveyor tool comes up and switches to the placer tool. If you don't know how to use the conveyor tool, I have another video about this. But for now, let's just remember that we can either collect or place objects from one document to another, or even in the same document if we want. But because we chose the option, the place and link, the create link option is automatically turned on in the conveyor panel. So if I go to another document and here I just simply click, it will create the same text frame in this document. But as you can see, a little icon shows on the top left corner that this is actually linked to another document. And here it even tells me, this pop-up, that which document and exactly which field is the one that we are linking to. So what does it mean if I linked a whole frame? So let me just keep this frame here on the left, and let me go back to the original document. And here I am going to zoom a bit closer, and I'm going to change something. Maybe change this life above water. So I change the text, and then I go back to the child document, or the document with this other version of the same text. We call this child, and the original document is the parent. So here in the child instance, we can see that the changes are not visible yet, but we can see a warning that the content has been changed. If I double click on that or just simply click on it, we can already see that the text is now updated. I'm going to go back and make another change. I'm going to change another text, maybe just delete and film. Okay. Go to the child, and we can see that also in the links panel we have the warning sign, but there's only one element in this document, and that is the frame that we placed in. But in the links panel we have actually two elements. One of them is the text itself, and the other one is the frame. And you can see that only one of these have a modified icon on it. So InDesign understands that we only change the text itself and not the container, which is the text frame. So again, if we click on the warning sign, we can see now it's updated. So we remove the end film. But what happens if I go back to the parent and I make my frame smaller like this? Then I go back here. Once again, we have the warning sign, but now in the links panel, I can see that this change was actually on the container and not on the text. So the text is the same, but I can do exactly the same thing. Click on the modified icon, and then it will update the change to the frame itself. So that is very useful. At the same time, I linked everything, not just the text, but also the shape of the frame. So whatever happens to that object in the parent document will be updated here in the child document. Let's see what's the difference if we select the text of this frame instead of selecting the whole frame, and not just copying it, but also choosing edit, place and link. Okay, we can see even the image looks differently here in the conveyor. This is only the text, while the original one was the whole frame. Once again, I go back to the other document and I click and drag to create a frame. And what happens now if I go back to the original document and once again make a change to the text, let's just get rid of 2013 or rewrite it to 2014, for example. And I go back here and we can see that there's a warning sign on both of these frames. So we can update both of them. But if I go back to the parent and I increase the size of the frame and come back here, we can see the warning sign will only appear on the version where we placed the whole frame, while on the version where we placed only the text, we won't see any changes. So this won't keep track of the changes of the frame, only the changes of the text. That's also a very useful thing, that you have the option to choose either you want to keep track of all the changes or just the changes to the text. Now what happens if we work with, let's say, an image? So I go back to the original document, or the parent document in this case, and we are going to use this image here. So I just choose the conveyor tool. I can press B. So you don't always have to go to the edit menu and choose place and link. What I prefer to do is have the create link option turned on, having the content collector tool, and then click on this image here. That way, if I go back to the other document and press B to select the content placer tool, then right arrow to have the image selected. Here I have to also make sure that the create link is turned on before I place it in. And even on the cursor I can see that we have the place image plus a chain icon, which represents that it's going to be linked to the parent document. So now if I click and drag and create this frame here, then we can press Alt B to just hide the content placer tool. And let's see what happens if we make changes to this image. So let's make a change here in this document first of all. I'm going to click on the content grabber tool, hold down Alt and Shift and make it bigger, so we only see the eyes of this cute little fox. So something like that. Okay, and then I go back to the original document and maybe make a change here as well. I'm going to make the whole frame a little bit smaller. Now if I go back to the child version of this, we can see there was a change applied here, and if I click on it, it will tell me that edits have been made in this linked page item. So if I update it, I will lose all the edits I've done in this version. So all the edits I've done to the child will be overwritten by the changes done to the parent. That's a very important thing to understand. If I click on yes, we can see, yeah, the frame actually got smaller, but whatever I did with the content grabber tool is now lost. So the repositioning of or resizing of the content inside the frame is completely lost, because that was applied to the child. So how can we control this in a little bit better way so that we can make changes both to the original version, the parent version of the image, and also the child version? And how will InDesign be able to handle these changes? The way it works is with a very clever feature under the links panel. And this feature is something that you need to apply one by one to any linked item. So this is not a global change, it will only work to the selected items. So I have this image selected in this case, and if I go to the links panel drop down and choose link options, then I will have a feature called preserve local edits while updating object links. So here I can choose any of these 5 features, and we can choose, for example, size and shape, which will preserve rotating, scaling, skewing, and path shape. So if I choose that, for example, and I click on OK, I can, let's just say, rotate this frame, and maybe we can even flip it. There's a fast way to do it. If you click on one of these corner points and hold down Alt, you can flip the whole image around. So as you can see now, it's flipped around. But if I go back to the original version, the parent version, and here I am going to make the frame, let's just say, bigger, and I also increase the size of the stroke around it. So I add 6-point stroke around it. You can even change the color of that stroke to, let's just say, blue. Now if I go back to my child version and I update that, then it will tell me that changes again that we have some problems with it. But if I click on yes, you can see that actually the rotation and the flipped version of the image, it stayed the same, and we just added the stroke, the bigger stroke, and a little bit of size change on the frame. So let me show you before and after. So by using the links options, I managed to preserve the changes on the child while still being able to update from the parent version. There's one more thing I want to show you, and that is what happens if we save this document and close it and make some changes in the meantime on the other version. So let me just save it onto my desktop. I'm going to just call it test, and I close it. And then again, I make a change here. I just undo this big frame and I'm going to make it the original smaller frame size. I just went back a couple of steps and set the black stroke back. So now if we go back to File and choose Open Recent and Open Test, we'll see that we have some issues with links. I'm just going to click on Don't Update Links at the moment. But if I click on this icon here on the image, the modified image, I can still update it. So even though it was turned off, I mean the document was closed, the changes will still be connected. So the parent and child connection will be kept even if one of these documents are closed. So all in all, this is what you need to know about the place and link options together with the conveyor tool and the link options under the links panel. I hope you found this useful and hope you can introduce this to your own workflow in InDesign. Thanks a lot for your attention and see you next time here on Vector Tuts Plus.